Hey there, and welcome back to some Elden Ring. We're going back into the lakes, and there's a couple spots I really wanted to do in this one. Now, I should say I kind of snuck up and I got the map for the whole western side of Liurnia because I was tired of looking at it not having the full map. And unfortunately, too, right? It didn't show any of this. All of this was blacked out. This entire stretch all the way up there. And it's not like, oh, the map was somewhere down here where you begin. No, the map is way up there. You have to go way up there to get the map. So it was really annoying. And it's kind of weird that you could end up doing so much of that western side and not have the map because you have to go so far into the western side to get the map. But anyways, as far as where we're going right now, we're going to the very southern tip of it right now, because there's a dungeon there for us to check out. And I mean, it's been a while since I've done it, but there's a couple interesting things in it, and I really wanted to do it to tie it into the next place we're going to go into this video, and it ties in with a few other places that we're going to be encountering throughout, the whole game that I've seen already, and just some thoughts I've had about them. And here we are, right here, literally right at the very tip, and you can see we're basically right under where we started. And I do find that it's interesting at a lot of these dungeon entrances and stuff, where they're kind of hidden and tucked away, there's jellyfish. There always seem to be jellyfish around these kind of hidden spots, and it's happened too often that I don't think it's a coincidence. It feels like it is a conscious choice, but it is Stillwater Cave. Now, as we go through, we're going to kind of keep an eye on where we are. And I mean, you can see we're moving in and facing that direction. It looks like we're probably going even further under Stormvale. And before, when we went under Stormvale, what did we find? We found that freaky body. There was an ulcerated tree spirit. And now we're coming in and we're finding ourselves these flowers. Now, we've seen some kind of random around before. We've sort of talked about them. We've gotten some items from them before that talk. They're the man-eating flowers. Now there's a whole dungeon down here in the Weeping Peninsula, right here. The Tombsword Cave has filled with poison. Also has some weird mushroom people and has these flowers. And here again, we're finding ourselves a cave and looking down at the water. Looks kind of greeny, poisony. There is giant flowers, right? And they're man-eating. They seem somewhat, I would say, conscious. They're very living, active living, as opposed to the passive life that plants tend to have. And they do some weird star spells, which is strange as well. Now, what is that? There's a weird mushroomy man. He looks all fungally growth. He's got a crazy looking staff thing. He shoots poison stuff, and when we defeat them, we can get toxic mushrooms, which the toxic mushrooms tell us that I think it's mostly that they're just found in toxic environments, right? Covered in toxic mold that grows in rotten lands, can repurpose it into an effective ward against toxins. So we might do something with it. But we start finding these people, and they kind of remind me of these zombie-ish, just really rotten people, because you got the zombies, the wandering nobles, right? And I mean, yeah, they look kind of like your stereotypical zombie, right? They just kind of grayed skin, pulled back, mouth maybe, kind of not very smart. Though the sorcerer ones, they're casting spells, so obviously they have some kind of intelligence. And we've got this set of armor that can maybe tell us some things here. We'll see. But these other zombie guys, they are hollowed out. They've got basically nothing to them. Ooh, this is a granny bat lady. We got to be careful because we are kind of low. She could really mess us up by grabbing us like that. I missed her. Bummer. Oh, come on, lady. One more. Oh, really? I almost messed that up. Alright. Set of armor and stuff. Now, this place is poisony. I was just saying there's some weird zombie, hollowed out people that often, spit out poison and stuff. And you can find them in a few places. But why is this place poisoned? Is it because of the plants? Or is there something else going on? Is it because of those funky, mushroomy looking people? Or again, is it something else? Let's read this armor we got. It's a burgundy pointed hood, attire of wise sages who were deemed heretical, evidence that the wearer was driven from town. Alrighty, let's see if the chest piece has anything different. Nope, heretical, driven from town, same thing, huh? Okay, so a sage, somebody who's like generally considered wise, right? But considered heretical. So he had some ideas that didn't align with everybody else. Now, why is there poison here? Now, it is currently right under Stormvale. Now, some of the other poison places that we found, there's two other main ones I would kind of like to point out, and they're both in the Weeping Peninsula, actually. So on the eastern side of it, right here, outside of Castle Morn, is a big puddle of green. And there's a big old rock, and it's got bodies on it. A body's covering it, all kinds of, like, crucified-looking folks and stuff. And so the question becomes, like, was the poison there first, or did it show up after the fact, right? Did it get toxic, or, toxic and corrupted and stuff because all these, like, bodies were, like, hung up there and died? Because there's another place, and that would be in the Witchbane Ruins. That place is also filled with poison. If we remember running around there, there is, poison all over the ground. So you have to wonder, like, why did that happen? And inside of there, we find a body of somebody like Selen. So what I'm wondering is, that chamber looked a lot like a torture chamber. So is there a connection between, like, places of, like, violence and torture and, just, like, terrible atrocities and poison? Because right above us is Stormvale, which we know was filled with grafting and just horrible things that Godric was doing and his tarnished hunts. And then that other poison spot is filled with, basically crucified bodies. So, like, I'm starting to think there might be some connection between terrible things, terrible atrocities, and sections of poison. Now, poison in general is a pretty recurring thing across FromSoft games, and like poison swamps and stuff, right? And we've heard of kind of a swamp before, and a lot of the time they're just kind of a symbol of stagnation. Like, they appear where there is stagnation, no moving water, lakes, swamps, right? Places where there just is not any movement. That guy staggered me out of getting my critical hit, and that's really annoying. I'm actually getting really messed up right now. It's kind of not great. So it could be that these places are just a place of stagnation, and that's simply it, right? There's nothing else to it. But I kind of feel like there is a little bit more. I'm probably gonna die, dude. I'm playing really bad right now. It's probably because I haven't played in, like, well, it feels like a week, I think. I wonder if I can stagger this one and get some health back. That'd be really nice. There we go. Now, kind of interesting thing about this cave is it's not just a cave. It's not like all natural. Like, this whole section here is filled with supplies. It's got, a boardwalk. It's, it's got stuff going on, which makes it seem like it was lived in. It was something before this. I mean, you could argue that maybe these guys came in here and built it, but it just doesn't feel like that's something that those things would do. And especially when you've got some sage armor. So maybe there was some heretical sage who came in, built up something, and then it like what, maybe that happened. I don't know, man. But we're all the way under, right? We're clearly under Stormvale Castle, like the whole main throne room area where Godric was hanging out. And this is where the boss fight's at. Gonna buff ourselves up. I don't have any healing left, so I'm gonna have to hopefully survive. So what are we gonna fight? Alright, there's a dude in there. A Clean Rot Knight. Now, we've heard of Clean Rot Knights before, right? Look at this dude. Look at that red-white armor. Looks pretty good. He's got a spear and a sword. Ooh, there we go. We're gonna need that. Wings on the helmet too. Kind of Valkyrie, right? Valkyrie-like. Now look around some of the side of them. Ooh, that's unfortunate for me. Ooh, now we've got Scarlet Rot. Okay, which ties in with what we do know about them. And that was that they are the Knights of Millennia. I would like to get a critical... Oh, no. Bummer. So we know that they are from Millennia, because there's a sword memorial that talks about how Millennia and her Cleanrot Knights marched down through the high road, right, eastern Liurnia, and then we know that she also defeated Godric and stuff. Now, why is there a Cleanrot Knight here? Like, did she actually fight here? Like, I don't think so. If anything, I feel like one just ultimately got, like, lost and trapped it down in here. Did they somehow end up by falling down through Stormvale if they were, like, fighting and warring against Godric's forces? Or did they end up down here and they just ended up there? And so then, like, did it become this way because of the Cleanrot Knight? Because what happened to us? We got Scarlet Rot on us, which is obviously very bad. It's a very powerful and deadly damage over time effect, which is not good for us. Now, something else I kind of noticed about it, and it's something that kind of reminds me of the Dragonkin Knights we were fighting, kind of coming out of some of the armor, like out from under the layers of it, there were like tendril looking, like root looking growths, or at least that's what it kind of looked like to me. And so I wonder what the connection there could be, or like why they're like that. But what are we fighting here? A bunch of like mushroom people. So is it really that far of a stretch to have, you know, some kind of thing growing off of a knight? And especially when you wonder, like, how long have they been here? All right, let's win. There's no reason for me to lose this guy. Let's drink this too. Why not? I guess I didn't need to do my, what's it called then? We're gonna break the guard. Not quite. Oh no. Bleed out maybe? Yep. Fully charged R2. Yep. Not bad at all. It's got kind of like a cape thing. I kind of wanted to really look at them a bit more, but it's going to be very tough in this fight, because you can, if you get messed up, obviously you're going to lose. But we got the Winged Talisman, right? Or Winged Knight Talisman? Whatever it's called. Winged Sword Talisman, which kind of fits with what we saw in it. It looked like they had like wings on the helmet. They've got these like red and white tassel things coming off the sides, which could be kind of like wings too. Talisman depicting a raised prosthetic blade, an honor bestowed upon the knights who fought alongside Millennia the Severed. Raises attack power with successive attacks. The wings symbolize Millennia and her undefeated prowess. Though she never knew relief from the accursed rot she was born into, her blade was forever beautiful and relentless. All right. So again, just a, you know, if you didn't know already, you know, ties them in with Millennia. Though we can take from it as well that, you know, she was born into rot. It's not like she got afflicted with it at some other point or something like that. Like, no, she was born into rot. So she was already like that. She was cursed, it seems, right? And then you have to wonder, like, why is she called the Severed? Because, right, to sever is to cut something. But also, it's a prosthetic limb holding up a blade. So maybe there's something with her missing a limb, which then also kind of ties into Godric a little bit, because what Godric has, you know, he was all about removing his limbs and, like, grafting on other pieces. And speaking of Godric, I really wonder, like, why did she let him live? Like, right, if all the demigods were, like, really about getting the shards of the Elden Ring and whatnot, why wouldn't she kill him and take his great rune, this shard? Like, what did he say to her? Because he begged and groveled, you know, we hear that in a couple places. What did he say that really convinced her to not wipe him out? And then I have to also assume, right, he loses, and, you know, the finger reader, or finger whatever she is, in the Round Table Hold, basically says that he's a runt of the litter. He's the weakest out of all the demigods. And I imagine he was not the grafted when she fought him. I think he was just kind of like whatever he was, you know, just regular before all of that stuff happened. And then after tasting defeat, he really, like, went off the deep end and started clutching into whatever means he could to gain power, you know, grafting. We found a Godskin Noble book in there, you know, there's all these other remnants from other places. So he really was, like, grasping at anything to try and be powerful. Now, we're moving up this western side here. Now, we can't get up here. If you spend a long time trying to climb up in this spot, you're not going to be able to. We can see it. We've seen it from way over there on the cliffside, like when you first walk into Liurnia and from like the castle and stuff, but you can't get into it. Instead, it's kind of like the underside of the castle where there's a big open space. So we work our way over there, and what are we going to find? We've been following this clean water lake until we get to poison water again. Poison. And we can see there's all kinds of crabs, and the crabs are kind of like your bottom feeders, you know, scavengers, right? So it makes sense that you're going to find them here. And you can see, like we've mentioned before, you know, this one looks a bit like a regular crab. And look, he's actually doing the, you know, kind of like the sleep or frostbite. Is it sleep? I'm pretty sure it was sleep. Even though you might expect them to be poison, I'm fairly certain that most of the other ones spew out poison, because that's what would make sense, right? We can see there's some structures up there. No, see, he's a sleep crab too. So either, you know, these crabs aren't being afflicted by the poison, or this poison is kind of new and it hasn't, like, taken hold on them yet, maybe? Oh, he put the little crab to sleep. Interesting. All right, so moving up under here. Oh, there's a crab. Let's see. All right, moving up here. Look at what we've got going on. Bodies hanging from trees, from like gibbets. They're very interesting looking. Look how their legs. I wish my torch would stay up when I have the lantern out. But look how the legs are. They like fade out. And it's not just like, oh, they got mangled in their stumps. It's like they literally just like fade out, you know? And there's all these bodies here. So again, just like I was saying a little bit ago about how these sections of poison seem to be tied to basically atrocities. And this is a village of the Albinaurics. And we've got a little bit about the Albinaurics because we've gotten Albinauric blood clots. They're life forms made by human hands. And they believe them to be impure or whatever. But we got them from those weird frog-looking people. And those don't look like frog people. They look like kind of like regular people. And you can see them right there. Look, there's one there. There's an old man. He's down on his hands and knees. Wispy beard. But he's trying to get us. Ragged looking clothes. Now, there's a similarity with how this dude is kind of moving, right? And that would be with the little youngling things that the Renala was making, like that were in her library. They all crawled around. They didn't walk. They crawled. And they had almost like bangle things holding their legs. So is there a connection there between them not being able to walk and these guys crawling and their legs fading out, it looks like? And striking them down, we know they're Albinaurics. Like, look, it's a silver white blood. All right. Oh, now we're up here, and it's Nepheli. And she's at the base of this, like, pile of bodies. Now, these all look like commoners. They might have been just, like, regular commoners, like, living here. But I kind of wonder, like, all the ones that are hanging up are, you know, Albinaurics.
Oh, it's you.
Yep.
Well, what do you make of it? What's happened to this village? I witnessed a sight much the same in my infancy. The oppression of the weak. Murder and pillage unchecked. A waking nightmare. Made by men.
Yep, made by men.
But this time, I'm a woman grown. And though the suffering cannot be undone, I can still mete out justice. Justice to the oppressors. Let the scars I carve remind them. I am Nepheli, warrior.
All right.
But this time,
so let's go and we'll mete out some justice, maybe. There's a lot of dudes. Look at them all. They definitely didn't get all of them, but they're here. Now, you have to wonder, like, why are they attacking us, right? Because, like, we're not trying to do anything to them. But also, I mean, like, that's kind of how the game works, right? Like, you're not... It's just not the style of From Software game. You're not going to go into a place and find some whole friendly village and etc. Larval tier, which is interesting, right? Because that's, I mean, it's a silver tier. I don't know, you know, synthetic life forms being reborn anew, the silver blood, Albinauric blood clots. The village is done for. Please, even if it's just you, old Albus, hide well and still your breath. They stuffed this well full of bodies. That's crazy. Now, there's a guy up here, and he can be kind of brutal at times, especially if you're not ready for him. And if we listen, he's playing some music, I believe. Oh, I swear, normally he's like playing music. It's kind of hard to see him. I should have turned on my little hip lamp first. But he just threw some crap at us, and it like catches on fire. There's little chimes. He's wearing like a robe. He's got a little dagger. And the dagger reminds me of the Erdsteel dagger, like Kenneth Hite gave us. I think his body will stay too. He's got a big swaddling on the head, robe, some boots. He dropped some item for us. Budding cave moss. Okay. All right. So on his chest, there's some kind of, I don't know what you call it, a staff, something. There's a long line thing, and it's got a twisting helix that goes up and around it. That's a fairly common thing, even in like other like religions. You think of like the catechist staff, I think that's right, and like Hermes staff. At least if I'm not like completely crazy and mixing up my things, I think it's a big thing in Egyptian as well. It's like twisting snakes. All right, maybe a crown. I don't know. He doesn't look super crazy per se. Now, if we get some items from him, you know, I might take some time here in a minute and get some items, but they are called a depraved perfumer, and we have gotten an item, a craft thing from the merchant that was like, oh, make some perfumer things, acid breath, which unfortunately doesn't really tell us anything. You know, it uses, you know, it's a forbidden art of depraved perfumers, and it just holds it in his mouth and dissolves before it expels it. And it was once a restorative art, or so it is said, which fits in with the idea of a depraved perfumer. So maybe the perfumers before were good, and then they became depraved, you know, corrupted, indulgent, and then it turns into this. And where do we find them? A poison place where massacres have happened. Alright, so we got the helmet and the chest piece for the depraved perfumer. So it's a headscarf worn by depraved perfumers. These heresy-inclined perfumers imbibe their own spices to alter body and mind. Their slow descent into self-destruction is what earned them their name. Alright, and now the chest piece has a little bit more to it. Right here. Robe worn by the depraved things. The embroidery on the cape or the apron itself is a curse upon the Erd tree. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's interesting. So they have like spices, which we kind of get because they have some kind of like acid spray that used to be maybe a healing thing, or so they say, and then it got twisted and corrupted, but they imbibe in their own stuff, which is like maybe driving them crazy, altering mind, altering body, and then that's why they became known as these depraved perfumers. And so I wonder why they started to do that. And then also the fact that the embroidery on the apron itself is itself a curse upon the Erd tree. Like, why? What are they? Why? You know, like, why are they aligned against the Erd tree now? And now here we are. There's a jar. It's glowing. There's a bunch of signs. That's what other people are saying. Here's an ivory sickle. What does it say? A sickle fashioned from ivory, carried by aged Albinaurics. These weapons are evidence of their dedication to the Halig tree despite never having entered its presence. Alright, Halig tree. Never heard of it. Except we have gotten a Halig medallion. It just doesn't mention the Halig tree. Now, there was a finger reader outside of Lurinia who talks about how the listening one, like, he's searching and searching, he kills, but he can't find it, right? And then she says if we want it, we need to find the big pot.
Please, no.
There it is.
I haven't a clue. No secrets lie with me, not a one. Oh, please leave me be. Wait then. You're not one of them? Well, what a relief. Oh, goodness me. I am Albus, an Albinauric. As you can see, we're finished. The whole village is finished. The cursemongers have destroyed everything. No one that remains has their wits about them. I beg you. Would you look after this medallion? You must keep it out of the cursemongers' hands.
Cursemongers. Alright, so who are the cursemongers? A Halig tree's secret medallion. Now, like we just said, it was that sickle. It's their devotion to the Halig tree.
And if you should meet the young Albinauric Latena, Then please give it to her.
All right, so we got to find Latenna. He says to give it to her. Now, it's something was a Halig tree. That's a third tree. Now we've got the Great Tree, the Erd tree, and now there's Halig tree. And Halig just means like holy in German, I think, maybe.
A chosen land awaits us, Albinaurics. The medallion is the key that leads to the city. It's only a quaint treasure for we who cannot make the journey. But for dear Latenna, it is needed to fulfill her purpose.
Because he wants us to give it to Latenna, and she has a purpose.
My legs will soon fade, and with them my life. Alas, this is the immovable fate of all Albinaurics.
Huh. So, like we just said, it looked like their legs were, like, faded, right? It says it's the immovable fate of all Albinaurics. So, kind of like the Rune of the Unborn says, a great rune, like, how they were, like, imperfect beings with short, frail lives. Like, were these, like, these synthetic life forms, these created things, like, imperfect and thus unable to live like full lives? I mean, he seems old, so maybe he did have a full life, but obviously he's not. Look at them crawling around, and you don't see any like other like regular ones that are walking at all. The only other ones we see that are walking are the weird froggish looking ones, and they are bizarre, right? Like maybe they're supposed to be like that, and that's just like the compromise for them to be able to like walk and move about like normal or something. You know, I don't know. Another Albinauric blood clot. Yep. Get ourselves a red beetle right here. Maybe. Now, right here, we can see up ahead, there's like a whole section. This is like what we saw from down below. And there is a figure up ahead. We can see there is a summon sign right beneath us right there. But look at that dude. There's the guy standing there. And who is it? It's Nepheli Lu. Because, of course, she's a woman now. She won't let this like crime go unanswered. So we're going to call her because, of course, let's give her some closure and help, you know, with this. And we can also use our bird because why not, right? Ooh, that used, like, all of my stuff. Here we go. Omen Killer. Now, we've heard of omens before, right? Like Margit, the Fell Omen. We've seen the regular just like omens, right? That are just like out and about in some of the places, like out in the dungeon, out in part of Stormvale. And this guy is an omen killer. And if you look at his face, like look how it's like got like twisted looking horns things, but it looks like a mask. His head is all swaddled up. And he's got some big twisted weapons. It looked like they had big old spiky looking horn type things on them. And what do we get? A crucible knot talisman. Oops, wrong one. So that one is a talisman fashioned from a bony knot that embodies the aspects of various creatures said to have grown on the human body long ago. Reduces impact and damage of headshots taken. A vestige of the crucible of primordial life, born partially of devolution. It was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced. So we know the crucible of life has to do a lot with like the primordial crucible of life, whatever you want to call it, has to do a lot with like the Erd tree, because when we read some of these other things, the red tinge in the gold coat mirrors a primordial matter that became the Erd tree. Now that primordial matter, as we know as well, has some things to maybe do with these like crucible things, right? Aspect of the crucible, manifestation of the Erd tree's primal vital energies, an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together, right? So we've got these aspect things that are showing tail, horns, and then we've got, well, you know, what do we have? This talisman thing. That bony knot said it was grown on human body long ago, and it's a crucible, a vestige of that primordial life. Now, we get it from an omen killer. So who does he kill? Omens. What do omens have on them? Horns and things. And Margaret the Fell, he had like a tail. And so all these things kind of line up with the idea that, like, you know, they have some kind of tie with the primordial crucible, primordial life, right? And seeing how, like, we got this weapon from it, I don't think I have the in my inventory now, but they're in rags, they're chained up, they don't look good, and the weapons that he was given to the regular little omen dudes, you know, are said to be like temporary in nature. Like, they're not well looked upon, and that dude is obviously killing him. And based on the knot as well, you can say that, like, oh, you know, they're disdained as an impurity as civilization advanced. Now, there's also another group of people that have similar, like, you know, aspects as, say, the omen maybe, and that would be those misbegotten that we find a bunch of down in the Weeping Peninsula. They have wings, tails, horny growths, and things like that, right? So they seem to have some kind of tie with the primordial crucible, which would have been really, you know, holy before, except now, as things have gone on, it's not really the case anymore. And I would like to say, right, this says, said to have grown on the human body long ago. Now, is it said, like, this thing came from something that grew on the human body long ago? Or is it saying that, like, these aspect things were something that used to grow on the human body long ago? So if it was something that happened long ago, are these, you know, omen, are the misbegotten, are they kind of a new thing? Is it like a resurgence of sorts? Yeah. And, you know, which would fit with a lot of some themes that Miyazaki likes to do, where he likes to make things that are very cyclical in nature, right? Like in Dark Souls, you've got the, you know, the Age of the Ancients, the, you know, eternal trees and dragons going into the Age of Fire, the Age of Dark, and how it should all like circle and cycle back around again. And that when you refuse to let that happen, that's when you find stagnation and corruption and destruction. And so here, long ago, you would have had these like growths on people, these aspects of all primordial life, and then it kind of like, you know, fades out. It evolves maybe, and so it's not so much a thing, but now it's kind of showing up again, and it's like a devolution. So we've evolved, and now we're kind of regressing and going back, except people have now moved on from that, and they don't accept that as a good thing anymore. So they're refusing to, like, you know, let the cycle continue, to have like the correct shift of, you know, nature in the course of time. Uh-oh. I didn't think this happened. All right, we show up in a round table hold. Things are different. If we go walking around here, look, we can kind of get a look at him. It's Ensha. I've never, like, tried to walk around this place while this is happening. It's empty. Okay. Hi, bud. Ensha, the royal remains. He's doing gravity magic, which is interesting. All right. Let's run this way. Now, it's weird that he can do this to us, because you can't normally attack in the round table hold. It doesn't even let you. So how is he pulling this off right now? There is nobody else. Nobody else in here. Nobody. All right, let's go, bud. Now, I didn't think he did this yet, because this is something that's supposed to happen. I just thought it was going to be at a different point. Can you not? Okay, he's staggering the crap out of us. That's really annoying. Ah. Oops. Meh. A great enemy felled. Ooh, super great. And we get ourselves a clinging bone weapon. If we walk over here, we'll get something else as well. It's his armor set. Pow. Royal Remains armor. Let's take a look at all of it. Horrific weapon made of hardened skeletal arm, wielded by Ensha of the Royal Remains, fitted by placing one's hands into the fist grips until they dig in. O clinging creature, a king relinquishes not the hand. I don't remember that descriptor at all from before. Now, Royal Remains helm, graced with gold human bones, worn by the unspeaking adherent of Sir Gideon, the All-Knowing. slowly replenishes HP when HP is reduced. It is said that the bones belong to an ancient lord, the Soulless King, the Lord of the Lost and the Desperate, who is known as Ensha. So I wonder, right? Because all the armor pieces say the same. I don't know that that lord would have been Ensha, right? Because, like, how would... Because the bones on this armor are said to belong to an ancient lord, Soulless King, the Lord of Lost and Help, known as Ensha. So how could the bones be from Ensha if Ensha is a dude walking around, right? Unless there was something else really weird going on. So I feel like he may have just, like, had it, you know? Like, why did he pick it up? I don't know. But a Soulless King, that ties in with some of the things, you know, the soulless demigods. We've seen that with Wandering Mausoleums. A ghost said, you know, America's unwanted child, the soulless demigod. So did something else, like after the first death of the demigods, did some other stuff start happening? And then there's like these soulless demigods. And so that's what this guy was. And Lord of Lost and Desperate. And I like to know that, or I'd like to state that it's not just graced with human bones, they're gold human bones, which is crazy, which would tie it in with grace and the Erdtree. And now knowing that the armor has to do with some kind of ancient lord and stuff, I guess this ties it, like the king would be Ensha, so it's like the arm, like the hardened skeletal arm of that lord, and a king does not relinquish his hand. Let's go talk to Gideon, because that was his boy. Why did he attack us? Which actually, hold on, before we do that, I need to read the Haligtree Talisman, because we didn't read that at all when we dealt with, or, you know, finished talking to Albus. It's a right half of a split medallion. That's a common thing, right? We've got this Dectus one, which is the left half. Brandishing the medallion with the bow's halves conjoined will activate the Grand Lift of Rold, granting access to a hidden path. In other words, this secret medallion will guide the bearer to the land of Miquella's Haligtree. That's Miquella's Haligtree. Okay, that's another demigod, and we've seen some things for him before. He's got a bewitching branch. He has some kind of ties in with Millennia, because it referred to her as like the Blade of Miquella, right? There was something else as well that I can't think of off the top of my head. What do you have to say, Gideon?
To the capital, Lendell. To the east of the altars.
Yeah, we know that.
You maybe.
About Ensha.
Oh, my apologies for that nasty business. Ensha got rather ahead of himself, it seems. As his master, I'd like to express my regret. But now, Ensha is slain and gone. Finished. Forevermore.
Okay. Anything else?
Ah, yes. By way of apology, allow me to tender some advice in regard to the half of the secret medallion you possess. Find the Albinauric woman. She hides in a cave to the west of the Laskia ruins, which jut from the mist-shrouded lake of Liurnia. She knows the location of the medallion's counterpart, I'm sure.
So when we got that one, we got it from Albus, and he says to give it to Latenna. She has a purpose to fulfill. And now he's telling us you want to find the other half, and you go find this Albinauric woman out west of Laskyar. So are the two the same, or is there just kind of like a connection in like what they are both tied to in the medallion and stuff? Now, way down here, we will find us Nepheli. Now, why is she hanging out here, though, right? Because before she was over kind of near her father. You know, I didn't necessarily find her after we defeat that Omen killer.
Ah, you. Please, leave me be. It's pathetic, I know, but I need to think.
Okay. So she doesn't want to talk to us. Like, if we talk to her again.
Ah, you. Please.
Yep, same thing. So we go talk to her foster father about that, see what he has to say. Nepheli's despair.
You've already heard.
I guess.
Indeed. It seemed the whelp harbored suspicions.
About.
So I had no further use for her. Honestly, what's a man to do? A determined plebeian is more wicked than an omen horn, quite frankly. I suspect that's just what the Queen wants. A dose of ambition to incite the tarnished.
So her suspicions got ahead of her, plebeian. So he doesn't have any more use for her, which, I mean, honestly, we knew this guy was kind of a jerk anyways, because right at the beginning when he talked about Nepheli, he was like, yeah, make good use of her. Do what you need, you know, whatever you need it to be, right? Like, that's what she's here for. which is really messed up. And now he's just tossed her away. And it's like she got too suspicious about some stuff. And he mentions an omen thing when what do we fight earlier? An omen killer. Now he says, a good dose of he's like, is that something that the queen wants? Like a nice dose of ambition, just something to incite the tarnished. And the only one I could think of that he's talking about is Marika. So why would she want to induce ambition and incite the tarnished, right? Because she's been missing, but also according to the Two Fingers and Enya, she's at the Ur Tree, and we're gonna go seek an audience with her whenever we get up there, because we now have enough to go up there and be Elden Lord, I guess.
You. Please, it's pathetic, I know.
I heard from Gideon.
So you know already, do you? Right. It's true. My father cast me out for indulging my emotions, forgetting the mission, punishment for offing his pawns. Father, Lord Gideon has offered me guidance all my life. I would have done anything for him, to place him on the throne of Elden Lord. And yet though it was not my intent, I betrayed him.
Yeah, so she didn't see Grace anymore, from my understanding. And then, but she had this foster father who gave her the guidance, like the same guidance of Grace that maybe she didn't have before. But I don't know that she knew he really was just using her as a tool. She was nothing more to him than that. But she had such devotion, and that truce has kind of shattered her. And those people at that Albinauric Village were his pawns, and that's why he's upset, is because we just took them all out. Now, whether he knows we did it or not, he probably does, which could be why Ensha attacked us, because he got ahead of himself. So maybe he wanted Ensha to wait a bit before he tried to get us and off us or something like that, right? But now that we know that it was his guys that did all that, it fits exactly with what that finger reader crone told us before. It was that whole prophecy reading our fingers and stuff about how the one he slaughters and slaughters, but he still can't find it, but we had to go reach inside the big pot. She was 100% talking about Gideon.
And I can no longer trust in Father.
No.
To think he'd order his men to enact such tragedy. Where is the justice he purports in that? He once told me that if he became Elden Lord, he would never allow the downtrodden to be cheated ever again. Was he simply lying to me?
Right, so I think there's two answers to that. One, yes, he could have just been lying. He was just using her, told her whatever she wanted to hear so that he could just ascend to the, throne of Elden Lord. There is another option, too, where he could, that is his actual goal to, defend and protect the downtrodden and all that stuff. However, he will do whatever means it takes to reach that goal, and that's not something that she agrees with.
No. How could I say that? Father has always given me his guidance, and now I've lost it. No.
Okay, so now she's lost in a slump now. But that's pretty much it. The next one, we'll go look for the Albinauric woman west of the ruins of Laskiar. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This one a little bit longer than I expected, but it is what it is, I guess. Thanks for checking it out. Always really appreciate it. And until the next one, take care.